What's up? What's up? This is Adri,
And Alyssa,
and you're listening to
chat in the hat.
Hey Hey.
Hi, how's it
We are
going?
back with a
We're
special
back.
episode
Yeah,
today.
I'm realizing through this podcast that I'm fuck up words a lot. Like I don't know. I'm like inaugural. Like how do you say that?
Inaugural.
Inau-
It
this
is. It's our
inaugural listener topic hat. First.
So you asked, and we are going to deliver.
Yes. So
Um,
this new series will be released on Thursdays. So today's the first one. And please note that if you would like to submit a topic, just go to our Instagram under highlights. Very first highlight is a suggestion box, and you just can go there and drop your suggestion, and we'll add any new ones to the hat each week. So we have a few so far. But we're going to need more as time goes on. So please
yeah.
join us if you'd like to participate.
And I just want to
Um,
say that, like, Alyssa knows what these topics are, and I know some of them, but she knows them because she
wrote
was
them down.
managing the box and put them in the hat, and so she's got the hat, but neither of us like have reviewed them really or prepared
Yeah.
any content.
From the
So
time
I don't
period
even know
of,
what to
yeah. And from the time period of these being like suggested to us to this recording, it has maybe been a week, but like through normal life, I've traveled and been back. Like it has not been a front of my mind. So really, I don't have a lot prepared. So, so we'll see that
That's the
we're talk
beauty of
about
it
wing
though.
it. We are gonna wing it.
That is, I mean, that is the premise of the show.
Yeah,
So
premise of the show.
we're gonna do
Okay, cool.
it.
Well, should we just hop right into it, or
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
any
let's
updates?
get to
Okay,
it.
cool. So here we go. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, first one. Will be a fun one. We got mushrooms.
I
Okay.
am very excited to talk about
You're
this. I
probably
don't
a
know
bit
where to
more well
begin.
versed on this topic than I am. Although I do love a good microdose.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
am
I guess I
a
don't know. We can kind of take it in either
microdose advocate
direction.
for
Like we could
sure.
talk about like the first time we did mushrooms, like your first time experience or my first time, or we could just talk about what we think of them. Or
Let's do a little of all of that.
okay,
So I, like I said a minute ago, I am a big advocate of microdosing, especially for like depression, anxiety, therapeutic reasons. It's been very helpful for me in my personal life. But yeah, it didn't start that way though. The first time I did mushrooms, I was probably like 18 or 19 or somewhere in that range because I was just newly into college and I was um yeah, I think that was the first time. And we just went right into it. It was with me and one of my friends, John, and Jessica, I think, was there. I don't actually no, Christy. Anyways, there was a few of us, and John had an apartment down near the Circle in Orange, like, and he had like a big patio or whatever, and we were sitting outside, and we're like, let's just go for it, and we all just ate an eighth each,
oh wow,
each.
okay, you really
So
got in there.
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how it was going to make me feel. And it was the craziest experience because the moments that stick out to me the most is like literally just rolling around on his floor, all of us just laughing so hard we couldn't get up off the floor, just rolling around on the carpet laughing. And his bathroom, he had like red decor, like a red rug, and I just remember a lot of red.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, his bathroom was like glowing red like hell. like, so I was afraid to go to the bathroom because I'm like, it's like hell.
Yeah.
Like, what's in there? It was like tripping me out. So it just was like the place I was afraid to go. And then the deck outside where he had his like patio furniture and stuff, there were some trees kind of hanging over near it. And I remember we were out there at one point and I did puke. And after
Oh.
I puked, I tripped even harder.
Oh,
Like it
really?
was
I
just
thought like
crazy.
puking, they say, supposed to like make you feel better.
No.
No?
That was like I was gone. And I just remember feeling like I was a floating head and like I couldn't feel my body. Like my head was just floating and we were out on his deck and it was rocking and I felt like I was on like the lollipop ship and like everything was just moving and alive and I was like I can't feel my body. My head is like
My
I'm not
head is
attached to
floating
my
out at sea.
Oh my gosh. And it was wild and we were up all night just laughing and it's hard because I don't remember a lot of details. I just remember it being like one of the best nights of my life. And then in the morning we were sitting around on the floor just kind of waiting for it to like work its way out of our system. And I feel like we had breakfast burritos or something after that. And that was, as we do.
Nice.
A typical Californian.
Yeah, yeah, breakfast
Um,
burritos.
yeah. And I wish he was on this call right now because he could probably give another perspective. But God, I was effed up. But it was fun.
Yeah.
But to the microdosing thing, like now I would never even eat that
Eat
much.
an
Like
egg.
I don't even need to get to that place again, Like I
Yeah.
did it and I've done it more than once like that, but I prefer like smaller doses. I actually feel like it's better because you get like some of the euphoric effects of it, a little bit of that body high, but you're still fully
Yeah.
comprehending what's
Fully
happening
aware.
around you. You can be aware. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
almost feel like more in tune to what's going on. Like
Yeah.
I can read people
Well,
better
your
if
brain
I'm
is opening up new neural pathways. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
yeah.
Um,
So for me, it's like I would prefer that over alcohol, over anything. And honestly, I don't even drink much these days, but I still, you could just
like
have
to
a
nibble
tiny
on
bit.
them chocolates.
I've done it bowling a little bit here and
Yeah, it's
there.
like when Jameson was visiting this summer, and you're like, I had to tell him, like, if you see any frozen chocolate in the fridge, don't eat it. I was like, thank you for the disclaimer with my 14-year-old.
Well, kids see chocolate, they're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna eat a piece of
Yeah.
chocolate." Like, yeah, don't do
Yeah,
that.
so my first time I was much later in life because I had never tried any drugs. But
Yeah, can I just say that for years and years,
yeah,
I felt like you were like, "Oh no, I don't do
I was too
drugs."
scared.
And it was like so judgmental though. And
No, it
so
wasn't
it was
judgmental.
forever.
I was just so nervous. My anxiety was through the roof that like people would try to get me to do drugs and I was like so nervous that I always thought if you have any sense of like apprehension towards it for something like a psychedelic, you're like gonna have a bad trip because you're already going into it with not 100% commitment. So it wasn't being
Yeah.
judgy. It was just like I just was like, I don't want to do it because I never felt like 100% like I'm ready to try this. And even to
Yeah,
this
but
day, I've only done 2 drugs. And if mushrooms are a drug, I guess.
if you want to call it that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
But
was just gonna say, like, you would never do it, and I would always ask you, like, even at Crossed, we went to that festival,
oh
and
yeah.
you were like, "Oh no, I'm good," and I was like, "Just have a little chocolate, you'll be fine. It's all good, I promise." And then one day, she's like, "I tried it," and I'm like, "You did it without me." What the
But
heck?
it was a pretty perfect set. I'm very glad my first time I finally tried it in the Cape. no one around. We just walked down to the end of the pond, and it was just me, Maddie, and Chris, and they were just little capsule microdoses. But I don't know because I did so. I ate one. They're 0.3 of a gram. So I ate one, waited like 20 minutes, and then had maybe 30 minutes, and then had a second one. And granted, I was a little buzzed because we had some beers, but I wasn't like super fucked up by any means. But we like went out, met up with some friends, had like a couple beers out, and then like we took like a couple beers down to the pond with us. So, anyways, I feel it like kind of starting to like click in, and I'm just like, there's always when you get to the end of the street at the pond. There's just like chairs down there. They just like kind of belong. I don't know who they belong to. They're just kind of always there. So I sat in one of the chairs and something like Maddie and Chris were there. And I was just like, did not want to be talked to. Like, I was just like, just leave me alone. Like, I'm fine. And they're like, fine with us. And they go on a walk, right? And so, which is fine. So they're just like walking along the shore.
Got her to shut up.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there looking like across the pond because then there's like houses along all the shoreline. So you just see the reflection of the light. So that's one thing I noticed is it wasn't like I was like envisioning anything because I didn't obviously eat enough to like totally trip. But everything's just a little enhanced, you know? So it's like anytime there's like a reflection or a shadow, it's just kind of like, ooh, that's cool, you know? So I'm sitting there and there's an empty chair next to me. And then I don't know what I was thinking about, but then suddenly there was like, I felt like a friend was talking to me. I don't know what it was saying. It just felt like a sense of like a friend talking to me. And so then I looked over and then nobody's there. And I'm like, huh, that was weird. So then I just am like staring out into the distance. And then it was again, just like this sense of like something talking, but it wasn't like scary. Like I didn't feel scared.
Maybe it was like grandma or something.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. And so then I would like look over and I'm like, what was that?
Nobody's there.
So mind you, this happens like a couple times over the span of probably what was realistically like 10-ish minutes. Cause I'm sitting there and there's just like every once in a while. And then I'm like, after like the fourth time of this happening, now I'm like, okay, I think I'm tripping like a little. Like, and so then I'm like, where's Matt? And like, so now I'm like, where are they? Like, I'm ready for them to come back to me. And I was like, I finally hear Matt and Chris like kind of laughing in the distance, like coming back up the shoreline. And I'm like, as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, and I just start sobbing, like totally sobbing. And he's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? And I was like, there was this spirit. The spirit was talking to me. And it was just this sense of it just became overwhelmed. Like it was just like every time I realized it wasn't there, it just kind of made me a little bit more anxious. But then as soon as I saw them, I was crying. That went straight into laughing. Literally just straight laughing. Like I was like, oh my God. I started laughing at myself like, oh my God, I thought some lady was sitting next to me. And I was just giggling. And so then, mind you, it's probably at this point now, like maybe 1-ish in the morning or something. And I had walked to meet them on the shoreline. So now I linked up with them and we're kind of just finishing the walk back to like get to the little trailhead to go back up the street. And as we're walking and I'm laughing and it's like a slight hillside. So the house is at the top of the hillside. I think it kind of like echoes, like you can hear it clearly. And so there was like some guys, like you can't see them, but you can hear them like as if they're right next to you. So we're all laughing because I was retelling how there was some lady talking to me in the chair next to me that wasn't there. So we're laughing. And then this guy he just like tries to be like all aggro and he's like, who's down there? And he's like, and Matt's like, chill out, buddy, you know? And he's like, who, like, just like being like a total meathead, like probably just fucked up, you know, drunk or something. And he's just like, oh, come down there. And I'm like, something like, I think he said like, I'm going to fucking fight you or whatever. And we're all like tripping on mushrooms and like laughing. And Matt's like, I'm fucking 40, bro. I'm not trying to fight anyone. And he's like, oh, you're 40? The guy was like, now that he knew we were old, he like didn't care. And so we're like, okay. And so then we leave or when we get back to the house and That was
Oh,
pretty
the
much like the
age
extent of like
card.
my
That's
peak,
great.
but there was like shadows from like the big maple trees that like hang over the street that I was like, ooh, like looks like it's kind of moving because the wind's kind of blowing, but you're looking at the ground. And I was like, we're all just like standing there staring at the leaves, like, ooh.
That's awesome.
But I mean, it was fun. And every time since then, I always eat pretty much the same amount. Like, I don't like go like heavy in the paint, like just a little. And we just call them giggle pills because that's what they are.
Hmm.
They just like give you like that little bit of body high and you're just laughing. Like everything is just so funny. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
I
great.
love it.
It's great. I think that like one of the things I find fascinating about them, and this is just for me, and I'm sure other people can relate, but when I eat them, like I just want to lay on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but if I can lay on the nearest ground surface, I'm like happy. If there's music and I can lay down on the ground or just in any lay down, I
Like,
feel like I need to be grounded.
yeah, you like take your
But
shoes off.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's how I end up dancing barefoot at places or whatever, but um for sure being barefoot, like you got to feel
Yeah.
the
Well, it
connection to
is
the earth,
grounding.
I
You feel the
guess.
vibrations and
Yeah,
all
for
that.
sure.
But
But one of the things that I love about them, and like just on a serious note, like they did help me tremendously through like some postpartum depression and anxiety. And I've realized over many years that one of the things that helped me is first I had to figure out why were they helping,
mm-hmm.
like as I'm introspective. Um I have a lot of social anxiety. Like I actually would get very socially anxious. I'd start to if I felt insecure or whatever it was that was making me feel anxious in that moment. And I realized like a lot of the not feeling that anxiety would I would drink, and it
Mm-hmm.
would make it easier to adapt in the environment and not feel uncomfortable or whatever. Because I am typically, even though I'm outgoing, I'm definitely more like of an introvert when it comes to
Yeah.
being at home, and I'm comfortable in my environment. But drinking, of course, helps me. Then the other side of me comes out, but that's not always healthy, right?
Right.
So with mushrooms, it like helped me put my guard down, but I wasn't like drunk and sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could have fun and be free and like live in the moment and not let that social anxiety creep in. And I think that's why it was so helpful. But then over time, I realized like, oh, this is why it's helping take away that anxiety, and it's helped me focus on why in the moment. Because the more you do it and stuff like microdosing, you start thinking about things, and especially if you're alone, like I've done it alone a lot of times, just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and get in my thoughts and journal or whatever, and it's like super helpful in that way. So I think that's why I'm a big advocate for it. I'm not condoning or suggesting that everybody go do it alone because that might not work for everybody, but I know what I can tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, like the microdosing aspect has been very helpful, and just learning about myself and like where that anxiety would come from and what would drive me to feel like I had to drink in certain settings and
Yeah.
that sort of
Well,
thing. So,
and you hear about I wish I could like cite them now because I don't have it readily available, but there are plenty of people that are like actually like professors and people in that kind of like psychology field that they're actually putting time and attention into the benefits of psilocybins, like just what it's actually doing to the brain and the results of they are seeing. Like I think they did like a test group of like people with like PTSD, depression and anxiety, and what they're showing is yeah, it is opening up new neural pathways for these people that is helping to like work through a lot of those you know dis what are the mental, it's not an
mental
illness,
health,
but
just
you know what I mean.
Well,
mental health.
depression, anxiety. I mean, it is kind of a mental illness.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it
But yeah, they
sounds.
are starting to see like, oh wow, this is actually super beneficial in, especially those type of the people that are struggling with depression, anxiety, and all of that, like on a really high level, they're testing this out in like kind of controlled environments. Okay, it's like don't like self medicate. We are
Yeah.
not suggesting that, but yeah, they are just showing that it is. There are actual now like scientific studies showing that it is helpful. So that's really exciting to see. Um,
Hmm.
that, medicine is potentially going in that direction, like a more natural way versus
100%.
just loading
Even
people
just
up
the
with
push
like,
on regular mushrooms, like
yeah.
regular mushroom supplements, because
Oh, yeah.
mushrooms are so incredibly good for mushrooms are like they have their own nervous system, I guess is the best way to describe it,
Yeah.
in the earth. Like they
Yes.
communicate with each other.
Have you,
It's
and there's like
wild.
mother and children fungi. Have
Yeah.
you, did you watch that documentary on Netflix?
I've seen
My
every documentary.
Okay,
Yeah.
my mind was blown. There's like a mother and child, and it like sends little like vibrations through the earth to like
Mhm.
communicate to its children. I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck?
It's
It is
wild.
crazy. I'm like, they are fascinating. Mushrooms of
But I
all
think
sorts.
that's why we connect, like they're so good for your mind because our mind functions the same way they do.
Mm-hmm.
In like they're connected to the earth and so are we connected to the energy in the universe.
Yeah.
Like so it is kind of fascinating to think that our mind has similar channels to communicate with itself,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're opening those channels through mushrooms. But if you think about like mushrooms, how they kind of symbolize both life and death.
Yeah.
Like they grow from decomposition, so it's
Mm-hmm.
new life. And so in a lot of ways, I think that's symbolic of what's happening with your,
Yeah.
when you take
Maybe
them, your.
reincarnation, possibly.
Hmm.
I don't know. Weird. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
they're
pretty
very they are
fascinating.
very fascinating, and like all the different species of it. It's like
Yeah.
crazy.
So have you ever done acid? You haven't done acid.
No. Oh no.
LSD.
That is very scary to me.
Oh man, I feel like we should just touch on it for a minute because that's not something I really do. That's like a commitment, like when you do it. But
Yeah, I can't
um
I can't.
the first time I tried it, which I was
You
older, I
went
was
through
in
a
my 20s.
LSD phase for a little bit. Like you were really into it for a period of time.
I know, it is
You
amazing,
were
but
like,
one of
I'm
the things.
enlightened to the universe. Or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, you
Yeah.
could see, or at least in the first time I ever did it, which it was pure LSD. Like this was no joke. It was good, but I could see, I could literally see the energy flowing between me and other people. It was
Yeah.
weird. Like I could see it, like as if it was like in the Matrix, and there's
Yeah.
like, oh my
That
God,
is
I was like, oh
wild.
my God, I can see your aura. I can see everything. It was like enlightenment. It
You're
was
like, I
wild.
am Mother God. Oh wow, what a trip.
Oh man. So, I mean, psychedelics, they work,
Yeah.
but that's a good one. Um,
Yeah, I haven't done that. I just like I'm so nervous. The thing I like about mushrooms, especially the fact that I always just microdose them, is that when you're ready for bed, you can just go to bed. Like you just lay down and you're just like
no
asleep. And then you
hangover.
wake up in the morning and you're totally normal. Like
Yeah.
no hangover, no nothing. You're just normal. And
Yeah.
so like I just kind of get freaked out like cuz it's kind of feels like that loss of control. What has always made me feel so fearful in all of this is the loss of control of being like I just feel like I'm not capable of just fully relinquishing my mind to just be like, okay, we're just gonna ride with this for the next 6 hours. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get there. And that's why I'm like, if it's bad, I'm going to lose it. And so it's like,
Yeah.
100% committed to like, this is going to be a fun, good experience, which tells me like I probably should not be doing it. So that's my whole thing is I can't have something last that long. I need to know that it'll shut off. And if it's LSD's not going to shut off when I'm ready. Like, okay, we're done. Like, nope. No, you're not, bitch. You got 2 more hours.
I've really never had like a bad trip. I've had like bad moments, but you can usually come out of it. I think it always goes back to like who you're with, your environment.
Yeah.
Being with people you trust and you feel comfortable with. And if those things are all in connection, then you'll be good.
Sorry. Oh my God, your cat is in the background. Is that a cat?
Oh yeah.
My heart. Oh my God. Oh my God. That was so scary. I was like,
I thought I was watching one of those like ghost videos.
Did you just microdose before this show?
There's just like this black figure behind you that was just like creeping in the distance.
It's a cat burglar.
Oh my God, that was scary. I thought there was a ghost behind you. Okay, that was weird.
That's funny. You scared me. You're like,
I know. Well, it really was because it's just like in the back corner of the screen and it was like prowling. Anyways,
yeah, that's a fun topic. I am a big
thanks for that
advocate.
Submission. That one I felt, at least it was a smooth starter one because I'm like, okay, this one I kind of know about. But some of these other ones are like, oh, it gives me more time to look into some of this because I'm like, I don't know.
No, you can't. That's
okay.
cheating.
I won't. Okay,
because I don't even know what's in there.
You know what they are? I screenshotted them and texted them to you. I was like, these are the suggestions. Do you have any of them in your hat? And you said no. Well, you said I have microdosing, but that's fine.
Yeah. So, that's right. But I will say that I'm a big fan. I think that people shouldn't be as scared of it as they are. Those people that I've encountered who are usually like, oh no, I've never done that. It's not scary. Yeah. But you also don't have to dive head first like I did.
Disclaimer, we're not promoting illegal drug use.
No, I'm not promoting anything. Talk to your doctor.
These are just our personal experiences. Like, so if you choose to do it, you're doing it on your own will and accord. Chat in the Hat and its affiliates have nothing to do with it.
It's affiliate.
I want to get sued or someone like eating too many mushrooms, and they're like, "She told me it would be fine."
Yeah, fair point. No, I'm not saying go do this. I'm just saying if you decide to go work with a clinic or somewhere that's gonna, you think it could help you, just know that there's nothing to be scared of, especially if you're in that kind of setting. Just don't be dumb and eat like a whole bunch and think that, don't eat an eighth or more. Some people have eaten more, but don't eat an eighth unless you want to like see things come to life, and then you really are kind of screwed, but just a little dab will do ya. That's what I say. And I like it in chocolate form only because I feel like it digests better for me. Like I don't get as much of the nausea side effects from eating them raw, but
I only actually that's not true. I have had them raw, but like just the stems cut up into small pieces, but usually they're in a capsule, and that's easy peasy.
Well, that's a fun topic. Like Alyssa said earlier, keep sending in your suggestions.
Send them in.
We won't practice or rehearse or look it up. We'll just do it on the fly.
Wing it.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, again, on our Instagram, Chat in the Hat Pod, you can find under the highlight section the suggestion story and just put it in there. And we'll make sure you put it in the box and we'll put it in the hat.
That's the
all right. Thanks for joining us on this first time episode of Chat in the Hat, Listener's Hat. Or listen,
love you.
We need to work on that tagline. All right.
Love you. Bye.
Chat in the Hat is hosted by Alyssa Stiles and Adriana Marquez. It is produced by me, Joshua Stiles. You can find us on Instagram at Chat in the Hat Pod and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.